Okay, scooter tramps, chopper jockeys, motorcycle miscreants of all shapes and sizes. It's just after 9 o'clock on the East Coast, and it's time for another episode of Shop Talk. I'm your host on the East Coast, Chris Ken with Cycle Source Magazine, joined by my boy Ken in Colorado, my co-host, cohort in crime, and motorcycle aficionado, test ride supreme.
That's a bunch of bullshit right there. Wow.
I'm practicing.
Trying to kiss me? Are you trying to kiss my ass, Chris?
Yeah,
What's
man.
going on?
Yeah, it's ass kissing season in the motorcycle industry.
You look like you got a nice little tan there.
Yeah.
Or did you put makeup on? You put makeup on before, didn't you?
Dude, it was so brutally hot. We just literally got back in this morning from Biketoberfest. It was the hottest Biketoberfest I've ever been to in my life.
Yeah.
Like 300% humidity too.
Ooh. Can we actually say we were at Biketoberfest? I mean, technically we were there for the first day of it.
Thursday, right?
Well, we were there for a couple days,
and
actually.
there are people there, so.
Yeah. And Willie.
And you got there
Willie's
Wednesday,
show.
right?
We got there
Chris
Wednesday
sent
afternoon.
That terrible text of him and
at Hull's. That was the first thing we did. We literally drove straight to Hull's.
But it was a working lunch. It was a working lunch. I mean, things like that have to happen.
Hush puppies. The hush puppies there are
the best. Yep.
Yeah.
Conch fritters, man. That's where it's at. So this is Shop Talk. Anybody that's tuning in for the first time, we get together once a week here and just basically shoot the shit about what's going on in motorcycling. There's some redeeming qualities to it. We get through some news, have some commentary that comes through Facebook Live. Those will be brought to you by the lovely Heather sitting to my right.
Hiya.
Do you have any questions, comments, or...
So far, who do we have in the house? We have Jason Sims, Brian Friend. Brian, actually, I'm going to give him a shout out right now. He is from Bluegrass Engraving.
Oh, right.
And they have stepped up to sponsor our In Motion show this year, and he's doing some killer work for our builders. So Brian over at Bluegrass Engraving, thank you so much for coming on board with us. And thank you, more importantly, for tuning in tonight. I appreciate that.
Explain exactly what that means. He's doing some work for the builders for In Motion.
Well, I was kind of keeping it on the down low a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I like the down low. I like the
surprises.
Surprise element of surprise.
All right.
So, no, we're going to be putting a little video out of the work that he's doing this week, so we can surprise people that way. Cool. Dusty Pine, Walter Cerisi.
You kind of just got steamroller, Chris.
I did. Sorry.
We just steamrolled him.
Brenda and Jack, they're actually down in Daytona right now. Can you guys go back to Hull's for us? Send us some hush puppies.
Seriously.
And I think I got everybody for now. Or Brad Lewis, if I didn't say hello. And that's it for right about now that I can see at the moment.
Okay, so let me just mention to you guys real quick that the important thing about that is we are interacting with you on Facebook. You can watch after the fact, YouTube through Cycle Source Magazine. You can see rebroadcasts of this episode. You can also catch up on all of them at #4ever2wheels.com in the podcast state, or you can pick those up through iTunes as well, right?
Yep.
And all you have to do...
iTunes, Stitcher. Stitcher's a great way to do it. Yeah.
All you have to do to help us further this cause is press the share button. Mm-hmm. Help us get it out
right
there
now. I mean, while you're watching, it doesn't do anything to hurt. It doesn't hurt you at all. Yep. Just press the share button, please. Please.
Okay, that was a really pathetic. That was like perfect puppy dog eyes.
All right, before we get into motorcycle news, before we go anywhere two-wheeled, and this could lead to two-wheel. This could be the dream of every two-wheel, everything that you want. That knucklehead that you want, it's right around the corner. The people from Making Dreams Possible have reached $1 billion in the prize jackpot for tonight's Mega Millions. So
that's with a B. As in boy, as in baby.
$1 billion.
Now,
$1 billion.
Here's the thing. This is what everybody does. What you actually do when you buy one of these tickets is you're paying for the time period, whether it's 24, 36, 72 hours from when you buy that ticket until the lottery gets drawn. It's all the time from when you buy the ticket till it's drawn that you get to dream about what you would do, exactly what you would tell your boss, the first couple things you would buy, who you wouldn't give money to. So we want to hear from you guys. $1 billion on the line in tonight's drawing. Put on our Facebook, what would you do with the money? What crazy shit would you do with $1 billion?
Ken, what would you do? What would be the first thing you did?
I don't know. It'd probably be something philanthropic.
If you say something spiritually holistic right now, I swear to God.
No, I probably would. I mean, I think it would be great to have a bunch of motorcycles in my garage and a really cool house with like a trampoline in the middle of a pool with a baby unicorn running around. Like, there's some stupid shit like that. That would be rad.
So Jason Sims, he said he'd spend it in about 3 hours.
Listen,
yeah, that's probably
it really wouldn't take long. Like I would literally have my own circus. Like I really would.
You already do.
No. I mean,
seriously.
But I would pay for them all to come with me all the time. Like it would just.
Anybody that has ever seen Cycle Source on the road at an event already knows that we have our own circus. We even have a funny dog. Come on.
That's not a dog. That's a midget. Are you allowed to say midget today? And that's
you just did, so it doesn't matter. It's a little person.
I love Bill Burr's joke about that. He's like, a midget's a midget.
Listen, let's talk about funny shit. Anybody out there that has not seen Joe Rogan's Netflix thing on House?
Oh, I got to watch that. I was on my list of things to do this week. It just never got around to it.
Do yourself a favor and make sure that you have emptied your bladder before you sit down to watch that, because I literally almost pissed my pants. I laughed so hard I ran out of breath. I was on the couch
that it's
dying.
Good if The Rock tweets it out that he's watching it during his cheat meal.
Dude, it was so good. It was so good, and especially the part, I won't ruin it, but when he gets to the part about Harvey Weinstein and how different he would treat his daughter in that situation than his son, that was the coolest shit ever.
Yeah.
Because it's totally true about the country today, about how messed up our values are.
And I have to admit, I don't like comedies. I'm not a big comedian person, or even like sitcoms. I'm not really into.
She hates puppies and doesn't believe in Santa Claus either.
Shut your mouth.
He likes her puppy.
I love all dogs. I like dogs more than most people. But it was actually really funny, and I enjoyed it. For sure.
All that build up, and that's what you said. It was actually funny, and I enjoyed it.
So if we're really back on it, I mean, what's the first motorcycle that you would buy, Heather?
That I would buy?
Yeah, first thing that comes to mind.
Oh, I'd just buy a bunch of old knuckles and pans. Like, just...
Okay, that's not an answer.
Sorry,
Chris?
I would.
I would buy, seriously, because it's one of my bucket list motorcycles. My old man and all his buddies had K model Sportsters. That's what they all rode. So I would buy like a serious, either restorable or completely restored K model, just to have like the memories of my old man around.
Actually, if I could, I would buy Gorgeous. Sorry. Oh. Yep. That would be the first one I bought.
So she said she would literally buy Sugar Bear's chopper.
No, I would buy Gorgeous.
That's pretty. That's pretty good.
That's kicking your balls there, Chris.
I know.
Anyway.
Right. And they always say that it's not about size. Size doesn't matter, but
no, it's just it actually isn't about the size on that particular. I just love everything from the paint to the molding. Just, it's the perfect chopper. Colors, everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Moving on.
Well, and I would buy I'd buy a tank shift left-hand throttle Indian Chief.
Nice.
Yeah, I had one at one point, and I miss it.
All right, so let's see. Jason Sims says he would get a Crocker and then a serial number 1 Harley, and I would buy the whole JD Museum. Brian France says Vincent Black Shadow.
Crocker's what, $1 million now?
Kelly... Kelly Maudlin, Twisted Oz Motorcycle Museum. A couple people say they'd pay off the mom's mortgage and then their own. Build bigger garages. That's a popular one.
We would definitely have a garage mahal.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So what we're talking about for you guys tuning in on Facebook and wanting to catch up is the fact that tomorrow's jackpot. Tomorrow morning someone's going to wake up. Hopefully the winner.
Hopefully it's me.
Hopefully tomorrow we wake up and you'll never hear from us again. But tonight's jackpot for Mega Millions is $1 billion. And I think this might be the first time that any of these, nationwide lotteries have actually reached that amount of money. But what we're asking you to do is go to our Facebook while we're on this broadcast and talk about exactly what would you do with your prize winnings.
What would you do to the magazine?
Oh, a lot.
You know what, though? Honestly, like we've talked about this before, when the lottery gets up big, I would do everything that we do now. I would just do it better. We would have the best equipment. We'd hire the best people. Instead of doing events at other people's property, we would just buy property at all the big events. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'd
So
buy
it
a
was
place
just,
in Daytona and Sturgis. But I think, right now, as much as Chris and I love doing the magazine, because it is, like, when it comes down to deadline, it is only he and I that do it, that actually put together the magazine and do the layout and the editing. And I would actually hire a staff and have an art department and do it proper and do our subscribers, their due justice, because they're the ones that keep us here. So I would just...
We'd do everything a little bit better.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And charge less. Yeah, I read Dusty's comment too.
What did he say?
He said I would buy a big wheel bagger and a dozen sledgehammers so me and my friends and I could smash it live on your show.
Now see.
But you know what, Dusty? It may not be your thing, but I give credit to the people that out there that dig them.
Listen, I'm not going to take that man's dream away from him. I'm just going to say, live big, dream big. Like, if you're going to do something like that, get 100 big wheel baggers, put them in a pile with some C4 explosives, film the whole thing, have a pay-per-view event. Like
that sounds like your dream,
Chris.
But
it's really not, because there's good parts on all motorcycles. And the first
you'd pull the drivetrain out of every one.
I would make them all into choppers.
But see, if you're going to do that, then you need to have Travis Pastrana jumping over it while they're exploding.
While they explode. Yeah. I'm just saying, you have $1 billion. You have to think much bigger than that.
Yep.
Like it
says the cash out would be $565 million.
That's still a ridiculous. Like, my calculator doesn't even go to that number.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
that's a big number.
I would do a lot of philanthropic work, though, too. I really would.
Well,
what's interesting about the lottery, though, is there's so many people that end up broke afterwards.
Yeah.
It's such a strange... And everybody's like, oh, that won't happen to me. I could totally see that happening.
Oh, yeah.
I could see people just, like, buying a gold-plated Bugatti and strippers and Coke. And
see, luckily, I got over all of that early in life. So, like, it'd be a much harder endeavor for me to spend all that money now in my life than when I was in my 20s. Because, I would have been all about strippers, Lamborghinis, cocaine, like all in the same day. That would be day one.
I'm like trying to imagine. I'm trying to imagine like rocker metal Chris.
Oh, dude.
Back in the day.
I was a hot mess.
I try to picture it because he tells me all these stories and...
Get pictures. Can you get me some pictures, Heather,
next
time?
I haven't even seen them. I've been trying to bribe people that have known him his entire life, and I still can't get any. Because unfortunately, he at some point suffered a fire at his home and lost all of those things. So, I mean, I think at this point, I've only ever seen like maybe 3 or 4 pictures of him when he was a small child. So they just don't exist. If anybody is out there in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area and has them, send them in.
This isn't the Chris's life show. This is Shop Talk. So we got about 7 minutes before we bring our first guest on tonight. So let's actually roll.
First and only, right?
Yeah,
yes.
First and only. We're cutting this shit show down to about 90 minutes. We're gonna keep it a little shorter than we have been, sticking to the same time thing for now, except for the fact that we were driving back from Daytona last night, so we couldn't actually do the show, but we're going to stick to that time zone for now. 9 o'clock every Thursday until further notice. First up in the news, I want to tell you guys that for us, this is one of the biggest times of year because it's our 2018 Source Awards. Every year for the last 10 years, we've done the Source Awards, which is one time a year. We put together a year in review issue, and we try to give credit to the people of the industry, the Woman of the Year, Man of the Year, the best products, the best motorcycles, the best builders, the best craftsmen. We put this all together with a panel of people that we select from the industry make nominations, and then we put it out to a public vote. If you go to cyclesource.com right now, you can pick up the link to vote for the nominees in the Source Awards this year. It all gets published in next month's magazine. Participate in this because, for these 10 years, we've been the only magazine that does this, and we're pretty proud of it. So that's first.
And if you win the lottery, each one of the winners is going to get $100,000.
$100 at least. Let's start with 100. A carnival costs money, Ken.
Yeah.
Again, you already have one.
Carnivals cost money. Carnival lives matter.
Hey, speaking of carnivals and circuses, I went to Nitro Circus this week.
How was it? Yeah, how was that?
It was mind-blowing. I didn't even pull my, I'm with the press card. I actually bought tickets and stuff with my kids.
Nice.
And we just went and sat in chairs and watched it, and it was awesome.
Did the kids like it?
They were like, what is going on here? Yeah, it is so entertaining, really amusing, and those guys are crazy.
That's awesome.
So worth it. I highly recommend it.
They're
going to have a residency in Vegas, I believe, and so anybody that goes to Vegas can actually go see it. I think they're going to run it 7 days a week.
Wow.
It's funny, man, when you go to these things today and you think about the humble beginnings of, literally they ran these things as like the halftime show between the monster trucks.
Yeah.
When they first started out, you know what I mean? And the tricks were like, God, the first guy that did a Superman, or the first guy that acted like the can and shit like that, now they're doing triple backflips and crazy shit.
Even fathom the stamina they must have to be able to do that show 7 days a week.
Oh my God.
I think they must have different athletes.
They'd have to have an army of different athletes for that.
But it's interesting too because they just push each other, constantly. That is the thing, is they're just constantly pushing each other, and they have this They have the Giganta ramp Deluxe now. It's like a bigger than Giganta ramp, and they were going so high.
Okay, I want to go see them.
It's so unbelievable. On a scooter, or and then they took people from the crowd. And they were like, Travis is like, you're going to get hurt, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, we know. And they put him in the back of a bobsled and jumped the bobsled off the Gigantor.
It's like Jackass Live. That's great.
Oh, yeah, totally, yeah.
It's great.
It's great. Good times.
All right, so back to news for just a minute here. The numbers are in from the Sturgis Rally for this year.
They are.
Which presents us, actually, when this first came up, we were in pre-show. I was like, so what is there really to talk about? There's actually some really interesting stuff to talk about. Obviously, the 495,000, which makes it the second largest rally in 10 years. That's great, but...
Don't believe it.
Yeah. Every year we sit there with great speculation and go,
It did feel like the numbers were absolutely up this year, though.
Yeah, for sure. But 495, that seems like a big number. I don't know. I don't know how they get that number, but it's interesting.
I think
but
somebody just ran back and forth across that little thing that goes across the road a couple times.
Go ahead,
yeah, go
Tom.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, just some of the stuff that you brought to my attention in pre-show, first-time visitors, 24%. That's a very, very big number to consider the fact that, Sturgis has become like the mecca for so many of us that it's just where everybody goes. 24% are first-time visitors. Average stay of 5 days. Over 50% of attendees stayed at campgrounds. That's a huge number.
Yeah. Well, and if you see why, if this is their first time at Sturgis, there's so much opportunity there, right? There's just an immense amount of opportunity, and the fact that they're coming back. So why aren't we collecting these people's information? Why aren't we doing? Those are the pieces that I think that are kind of interesting, as well as the fact that they said that it's 3,363. So less than 0.1%, right, of the or less than 1% of the total
attendees
population or whatever, attendance. What are you looking at me like that for, Chris? It's creeping me out.
Actually, man, I wanted to point out on the screen here, I've highlighted the average age of attendees in 2018 was 49. This is one of the first times we're seeing the median age of anything that has to do with the custom motorcycle segment, or, custom/American motorcycle segment, however you want to refer to it, go down instead of up, because this is down from 52 from 2015. That's very encouraging.
Actually, so far on our survey, isn't our readership going down as well?
Our
The age bracket
readership's getting younger as well.
Yep.
So, maybe this whole outreach thing is not so bad. After I flame it in like 15 editorials this year.
I know. I'm gonna use that as a little sound bite. Cut that out.
Oh my God! So the good work of the motorcycle community goes on with our friends over at Builtwell, doing a little initiative called Pulling for the Panhandle. Pulling for our friends in the Panhandle that have been devastated by Hurricane Michael. 100% of the purchase price of these T-shirts will go towards supporting Team Rubicon in their efforts to provide aid to the area. I don't know what else to say other than we brought this up to tell you, like, these cats are doing the stuff that we all should be doing, getting involved.
It's a $20 T-shirt. 100% goes to the proceeds. They don't take out money for the the cost of the product or anything. It all goes. So if you want to help, that's a good way to do it.
Good for them. Good for you guys.
Yep.
Products in the news. This is something that deserves some great consideration and conversation. DigiLens announces integration with Sena Momentum Smart Helmet. This is coming out fourth quarter of 2019. That will provide motorcycle riders what they call distraction-free heads-up display content streamed directly in their line of sight so they can keep eyes focused on the road. And go. Not everybody at once.
Yeah. So I mean, this has happened before, right? There's been products that have tried to do this before. I believe that Tesla actually has this on its windshield. Has like a heads-up display. So I can see some applications for this. Road racers,
Batman.
that sort of thing. Batman. Yep. Could totally use it. I think that because of the way the industry is going, whether we like it or not, there is going to be a segment that is desiring these types of things. It's like fuel injection, right, Chris? I mean, there was a time when everybody was like, fuel injection, that's a bunch of crap, right? Everybody's like, carburetors, that's the way to go.
Hey, and listen, as long as I could watch reruns of MASH when I drive across Kansas in the night in this heads-up display, I'm down for it, because let's face it, there's times when there's just nothing to see. You might as well watch some good TV.
I detect a hint of sarcasm.
No, I'm totally serious. I have built a brace for between my handlebars on my touring motorcycle that has a little pop-up DVD player, and I put on reruns to keep me awake.
That is not something you should be advertising out there.
It's
this is a bad idea.
But
do you hear me, people? This is not.
Do not try this at home.
It's not. Listen, it's not my line of sight.
He's just talking about theoretically something he could be doing, but he doesn't actually do this. Okay, keep going, Chris.
I'm saying there's just times where you need some Bugs Bunny going on in the background to keep you awake. When I'm riding a motorcycle into my 36th or 37th hour, I don't want to fall asleep at the bars. Let's put on some Colonel Potter.
Because that's not going to make you fall asleep,
right?
In theory.
No, coffee and Colonel Potter, we're good. But anyway, I mean, seriously.
That was in your younger days, honey.
We're making light of a situation that definitely deserves to be described as
Everybody's laughing at you.
I know. It's good. It's good. I just don't know. I don't know. There's sometimes, this is what I really have to say about this. Sometimes technology comes too far into our lives. You know what I mean? Like, maybe in some track applications, or I could see this being a good thing for maybe some motorized police forces, or different things like that where they actually needed some of this. But I think for the average rider to have heads up display information, it's going to be, like I said, people are going to have Bugs Bunny or porn or news or whatever going on in their helmet instead of riding motorcycles.
Yeah, your wife just had a look like, why did you go to porn? Because that's what every dude thought about it.
Right? I'm saying.
Yeah, true. I guess.
I'm saying one guy, one helmet.
And I guess oh my God, Lord help me.
What did you just say?
Never mind.
I said,
shut up.
Okay.
Just shut
One
up.
guy, one helmet?
Yeah, just because I don't say something, if you don't say something, it doesn't mean that the rest of the public's not out there. That's what's wrong with media today, is too many of us think that we can bullshit our way through this. People are thinking it. You might as well say it.
No, there's sometimes you just should not say things.
I'm taking lessons from Joe Rogan. Joe, you are my hero.
Thanks, Joe.
For the shit that you say.
Oh, jeez.
Great.
Joe's a badass.
Like, there are so many times where you should have just stopped 2 sentences ago. You do not need to be encouraged by Joe Rogan.
Gotta have goals.
I'm going to put parental controls on the TV.
You gotta have goals, and you gotta have role models.
I don't know.
I think now, like, I always thought that it would be silly to have headphones in a helmet, right? I was like, why the hell would you need that? And then I got that Schuberth that's got everything built into it. It is my favorite helmet. By the way, Chris, I'm getting that painted with the CycleSource logo on it.
Nice.
So I can use it for trash days, because I realize what a weenie I look like when I'm out like doing test rides and I have this like gray helmet that's just kind of lame. It should have like a big CycleSource something on it. So,
no, but I agree with you about that. Like, I much prefer having in-helmet music than watching 6 guys ride down the street, all 6 with ridiculous stereos that no one's listening to the same music, and it just sounds like
mud.
Yeah.
Or trying to navigate through New York City or somewhere you've never been, and you've got like, turn-by-turn navigation in your ears.
Yeah.
It has saved me, especially in New York City. It saved me many times. I mean, that's the only way I found Bobby at Indian Larry numerous times, where I'm just like, where do I go? What? Yeah. Oh, so.
Yeah. And I think mostly the comments that I was making about technology follows us too far sometimes, is like there was always something about just finding out where a road goes. That was the inherent part of motorcycling, was getting lost was half of it. So you don't always need modern convenience. You don't always need to know where you're going. You don't always need something to entertain you while you're doing it.
Well, and that kind of goes back to when we were talking about the FTR 1200 that had the big screen, and one of the things they showed was you sync your phone to it, and it shows
not
you
the FTR 1200.
Yeah, it was the FTR.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Also has,
and it showed like when a call was coming in, and I was like, I don't want to take a phone call when I'm on a motorcycle. I don't even want to know my phone's ringing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one of the beauties of being able to be on a motorcycle, in my opinion.
Speaking of, in my opinion,
all right,
this is something new we're bringing to the pages of CycleSource.
Oh, Ken, get ready,
magazine.
because you will participate in this,
right? So
I hope
this
it's cool.
This is coming to the magazine. So as we're talking about the need for just saying things that are on your mind because it's what people are talking about, it's the current that goes through current events. We're actually going to open up one page of the magazine every issue, and we're going to title this page "One Man's Opinion." And don't send me a bunch of emails saying, "Why couldn't it be one person's opinion?" Because that's not the point. But we're just gonna, and this doesn't mean that just because you send an opinion editorial in that we're going to run it. It can't be defamatory on any one single person, any group of people based on race or anything else. But we want to get more in touch with what people actually have on their minds, what their issues are. So we're going to give.
So it's like a letter to the editor.
Yeah.
Opinion column, op-ed.
Yep. So that's going to start next month, and we have a great one written already from a friend of the program that's doing a thing called in a world of Indians, why not be a victory? And it's a really good piece. So
Cool.
look for that in upcoming issues of Cycle Source magazine. If you guys want to participate
Who's
in that,
writing that?
it's going to be, like I said, we're opening it up to the public.
So it will
So-
be
No.
a different.
Who's writing it next month?
That actual piece was written by Pat Jansen.
Oh, cool.
However, in the stipulation is you will not remain anonymous.
Yeah,
If
you
you want to
can't.
remain
Yeah,
anonymous, don't submit it.
If they come in without your signature and you owning the shit that you're saying, they get thrown away, and that's that. So
And is there like a big disclaimer at the bottom that says these do not reflect the
Yeah.
magazine?
Yes.
or
and I
what
mean,
we-
this is what we're looking to do from it. So what we're looking to do is give people an opportunity to bring topics up that we're not only going to print in the magazine, but then we're going to bring them out, whether it's through this program once in a while or through our social media, and we're going to invite everybody to join this conversation and start talking about some of it. You know what I mean? Instead of
Yeah.
through all the regular channels that we have, letting everyone else tell us what we actually think collectively as a group. Here's your opportunity. Here's your opportunity to let people know what you actually think.
Yeah. Cool.
So it could be great, could be a complete fucking
we may
nightmare.
only have two. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't. It will only work if people participate. So
And I'm going to say this right now as another disclaimer. You cannot cut pictures out of the magazine and little words from it and paste them to a page and mail that shit in and expect to participate in this. Yes, I am talking to you, you crazy bastard. Don't do it.
Is there somebody that still does that?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. We
Yes.
have three.
Yep.
We have
have three
three
stalkers?
distinct. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Wow.
I love those guys.
They've got to be from prison, right?
No.
No?
No, they're out on the street.
No.
Enthusiastic people. They
Really?
are. So it's
Yeah, you got a fan base.
It's 9:41 here on the East Coast, and we are long overdue to go to our first caller.
All right.
This applies back to a conversation we had last week about the editorial in this month's magazine, and in current events with the everything that was going on with the AMD World Show, and how we only had 2 Americans there. The highest place we took as Americans was 8th place, and we have that person on, Jordan Dickinson from Union Speed, who builds amazing motorcycles, and I wanted to get him to come on to talk to us about, like firsthand what was there. This is supposed to be the absolute pinnacle of the custom motorcycle world, and from his perspective, what was it? So we're gonna go to the phone lines and see if we can bring him on here for a little talk with us.
Hello.
Jordan, what's up, buddy?
How's it going?
You're live with Chris and Ken on Shop Talk.
Oh, right on. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming on.
How's it going?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell us about your trip first of all. Tell us about the trip to represent Team America in the AMD World Show. Let's talk about that first.
Sure. You want a little background of how we got sent over there and all that?
Yep.
That'd be great.
Okay, so the way the AMD stuff's been going nowadays, I mean, it's different than when it was in the U.S. here. Now what they do is they do the AMD show every 2 years instead of every year, and they've been trying to expand that I guess like sister shows that they have that kind of funnel into that. So what happened was we ended up winning through a series of shows in 2016 nationally. We ended up winning the national championship in Orlando, and whoever won that got sent to the AMD championships. So they do that, one person per year. So that's why there was two Americans sent over for the show.
Yeah, no,
basically.
this year was you and you from a show last year, and Tim Dixon from the, I believe, the Cherokee show. He was pulled, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep. So, yeah. So, and I got to give a shout out to everybody involved there, because they did an excellent job with the show and like getting us over there and everything else. I'm sure you know Bob K. I mean, everybody knows Bob K.
Yeah.
And he did a great job dealing with us and getting us over there and making sure we were taken care of and everything. So, huge thank you to him for that, because it was it was a pretty amazing experience to be over there. It's a totally different market than what we have here in the U.S. And it was the first time I've ever been to Europe, and it's the first time I've ever really experienced that firsthand. So.
Yeah, no, this year was Cologne, Germany, is where you went actually, right?
Correct. Yep. So we ended up. We took a little bit extra time just to kind of, if you're going to fly to Europe, you might as well take some time and try and get a little bit of vacation in. So we tried to get in a little bit early because I knew we were going to be dealing with some jet lag and whatnot. I didn't want to be just total sludge trying to, meet people and whatnot. So, but the show was huge. I mean, it was way bigger than I imagined it would be. The hall that they have for the AMD portion of it is kind of set in, it's like a, custom culture or custom lifestyle hall. And that hall was about the size of the national show that we won at. I mean, just for that one portion of it. In the U.S. And then they had 6 or 7 other halls that were just filled with, all the big industry, corporations that you normally see at some of the shows. I think that, who was it? I don't know. Triumph and like BMW, they have multiple,
locations.
Multiple different locations, throughout the whole show. So,
this
is kind of
is
neat to see how they had that set up. So
this is one thing that I'll say right off, having been to, I was at EICMA before, and from all the reporting over the years of the different shows over in Europe absolutely whoops our ass for shows like this, and not the actual motorcycle custom builder show part of it, but the all over motorcycle expo part. Europe kicks our ass. It's so much more, produced and exciting, and like there's so much more production in it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it was a much bigger part of their lifestyle than it is here. Like it feels more. Here you have little segments of people that that live it every day, and it's like they ride, all the time, and then you have a big portion of the market where it's just a luxury or recreational vehicle type thing, where over there it felt like more these people are on their bikes constantly because that's their mode of transportation. So it seemed like it was a lot bigger that way. But
okay,
yeah. So and then I guess you probably want to talk about the bikes and whatnot, I'm sure, huh?
Yeah, we do, man. But I mean, like, here's the thing. I'm not asking you. Obviously, it was a great trip for you, and it was a big honor to go over there. But I look at the motorcycles, and as we're talking here right now, I'm gonna actually put these up, starting with the first place winner, and I'm gonna flip through some of the pictures, and they're incredible works of art. And people will immediately make the argument that, well, this is where AMD was going, all the way back when it was still happening in Sturgis. This is the direction that this was going, was that they were these incredibly engineered works of art in motorcycling. And my deal with it just is like, 8th place, man. 8th place. I saw the motorcycle that you built. I'm not even sure that people could understand like what an incredible piece of machinery that you put together, because it wasn't opulent, and it wasn't, a ridiculous feat of engineering. It was a motorcycle, and my question is, have we just gotten too far away from the basic functionality of what this is supposed to be based on?
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to. I think the thing of it is, like, you look back to when the AMD stuff started, you look back at the the first few years, like when Roger Goldhammer won it, and I think like Chikara's bike, those were some awesome bikes.
Crew.
Okay.
Yeah.
And very much on the side of a good mix of like, you could still ride it. You know what I mean? You could take it out and go ride it. But it definitely had that highly produced art side to it, you know, which to me for that type of show, that's great. But I think what ends up happening, and it's not just the AMD, it's everywhere. It's the peacocking types of shows, like where you're bringing it out and you know, whoever won last year, all right, next year we're doing something, we're going to go beyond what that guy did, you know, and then it's just naturally going to take that direction, I think. And I think looking at it though, going from America to now being its home base in Europe, they look at it differently than we do. Like the custom builders do. Like, it's not, you know, I got asked by some of the other builders, because the way that show works, you know, it's peer-to-peer judging, and then they have a handful of judges that are just outside industry people or whatever that come in and vote on what they're looking at based on what they like and, you know, how they view it. So I got asked by a few of the guys, are like, well, why, you know, because they have freestyle, they have retro modified, they have cafe, and then they have modified Harley, and I think that was all the classes for this year. But a lot of the guys were asking, like, well, why isn't this in retro? And I'm like, well, why are any of these other bikes not in retro if they're vintage engines? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then after having the conversation with them and really explaining and showing them everything that was done to the bike, then, you know, some of them got it, you know, but then there was a handful that I was like, no, I just totally explained that everything on here is handmade, and that dude totally still didn't get it. Like,
and you know, man,
just missed it.
That's my thing about this. Okay. And you know, again, I'm not gonna pick any one show or organization or person to bash in this, but if you're gonna hold something that's, you know, the pinnacle of the custom motorcycling world, the people who are officiating and judging that show should know. They should be able. I watched a show that Will Ramsey was in with his motorcycle, where he had hand built a titanium gas tank and fender. And I watched one of the judges, who was supposed to be from a professional judging association, come up and tell him that his fender was a little bit crooked and why was it like that, and, you know, questioned how he had put his joints together. And Will, like, sat down and explained to the guy, he's like, well, listen, I'm a professional, so obviously I'm going to finish my joints, and you're not going to be able to tell that, yes, they were properly sweated together and rosette welded and everything that should be done to that joint. And yeah, titanium flexes, so that fender might not look exactly right to you, but he grabbed it and like wiggled it in front of the guy like titanium does, and he was like, it's titanium, dude, you know?
Right.
So I think they should just have that, you know, you should have that standard of person that's going to be looking at that would be able to look at a motorcycle like the one that you built for this show, and you wouldn't need to explain how much work you do to that.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, first and foremost, like, when you look at your motorcycle, it is beautiful, but you can ride your motorcycle. So many of the other ones you just look at, and the first thing you say is, how can that even go down the street? Or
and that's without
rideable?
Anything qualifying it, because some of these guys argue that the bikes are rideable. You know what I mean? But
yeah, that is one thing that they had. You know, you had to pre-qualify with a riding video, so I'll give them that. But it's the you know, it puts that gray area in there as to what level of rideability needs to be acceptable. Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And to me, I mean, I'm on the side of you guys. Like, if I'm looking at your bike, and, you know, I can look at it and tell that if I'm going to be on that thing, my hands and my feet are damn near going to be touching. Like, I know I'm not going to be riding that for very long. You know what I mean? But does that take, you know, as you're looking at it, the workmanship and everything else is still really good and you know, still top notch and everything else. But I guess it just depends on how the person voting values the rideability versus the art function of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough
Well,
because
a lot of that
it is
stuff, a lot
peer-to-peer,
of
so.
Yeah, a lot of the intricacies, like unless something's really over the top, a lot of the times the public and even a large portion of the motorcycle industry doesn't even understand how much detail is in that. A lot of times that subtlety, like Heather was kind of alluding to, like your bike looks like a motorcycle, but obviously one that everything was hand built on. And a lot of people, that's just lost on a lot of people. They just don't get it.
Yeah, and it's tough because it's a matter of perspective too, for sure. Because for me, I find it more difficult to try and put, like, if the bike in particular that we built for AMD, there was a lot of constraints I put on myself while trying to design that, because we were trying to make it look like a period piece, but still wild enough. Like if you looked at it in that context of 30s, 40s motorcycles, it'd be wild for that era standards, right? Because you wouldn't do any of the shit that we did to it in that time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it still gets looked at as, well, is this piece factory or is that piece factory? No, none of it is. And it's all, it's all handmade.
I have a picture of your bike up right now. And I mean, I think that's here's another whole part to talk to this subject about. What you just said right there, so many constraints that you put on it yourself, because you have built some incredible machinery, both of 2-wheel and 4-wheel. Like, you do some beautiful work, but it's your style and your personality. Are we entering a place now where, in the name of winning, in the name of going to something like a world show and showing what we could bring to the table as Americans, are we willing to sacrifice, in the name of that winning, are we willing to sacrifice that style and that, the Americana of the motorcycle? Because exactly what you said there, you look at this thing, man, and it is motorcycle. It's the art of the machine, and there's so much done to it, but you didn't violate the principles that make it a motorcycle first. Right.
Yeah, I can tell you I'm not willing to sacrifice that. I mean, that's, first and foremost, it needs to ride and needs to be functional, because that's the constraint of what that platform is. It's not a blank canvas per se that you're just going to throw some paint on and now it's art. Okay, it's a machine. It's mechanical. It needs to be able to work. It's not. You shouldn't be done with it. And the only thing that's reminiscent of a motorcycle is the fact that it has 2 wheels. I mean, in my eyes,
Yes.
that's not how it should be when you're done.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, but to each their own, right? I mean, that's.
I guess that's why there's shows like In Motion, right, Chris?
Well, and the point of this was not to plug our show or, to pit, even to pit America against the world. But because, like, seriously, when I go through these pictures and I'm flipping through, a bunch of the show pictures while we're talking, there's some really, really great stuff there. There's some stuff that, like, I think a lot of the motorcycles you see over there, there's 3 or 4 different motorcycles worth of shit put onto one motorcycle. If they would build 3 or 4 different bikes and, like, not try to do it all in one build, they'd be better off. But there's some great stuff there, and that's awesome. But where we go across the line of it not being that motorcycle thing anymore, because there's 2 complete halves of this whole thing. It's great to have a custom motorcycle, but if it takes away the part of it where we go out and do stuff together, the together part of it, because that was something Bill Dodge brought up while we were in Biketoberfest, that the greatest part of Emotion was that we all got together and did stuff. All the builders and, the show people, like, we went for a ride, we went and hung out, we had dinner together, and, like, it was, that camaraderie that happens from doing this stuff, and I don't know. I don't see that in motorcycles that don't run.
Right. Well, I think, I don't know. It's kind of, it's a byproduct of shows in general, because I think if you look at any show, it's always that one-upmanship, right? And It depends on the people that are putting on the show, where they want to let that go to, and then how crazy it's going to get. Because there's stuff even at Born Free that I would consider most of the stuff that's done there. Those are usually, most of them are rideable bikes. But you see year after year, there's some stuff that just keeps getting pushed further and further that still has the essence of all of that. But there's bikes I've seen go through that show that I'm like, that's fucking insane. Like, that's not rideable either, you know?
Right on.
I think that falls under the category of just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's with anything, for sure. That's with anything. But I don't know, how do you wrangle it in? Because the trouble with the convention shows is that you don't, like Chris just said, you don't have that that ride to or that ride around, like with Sturgis. Okay, you go to Sturgis, well, you may have shows going on, but you also have all this whole other side to it when you have ride-in shows that why am I blanking on the place right now? The place that used to be the Full Throttle there when they did their, like, for example, one of their shows, right?
Yeah.
That was always one of the big shows to hit too.
Broken
everybody
Spoke
right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Broken Spoke or like any of the stuff with the chip or whatever. I mean, it's just a different, I don't know. It's a different vibe altogether. So.
Well, and maybe it should be more of an exhibition than a show. Maybe that makes it.
No, but you know what, man?
Listen,
no, it doesn't make it better, because that's my editorial this month talks about that. And, like, you know, again, this is just one man's opinion, but you have to have standards, and you have to have the balls to actually give someone who works harder, someone who perfects their craft, you know, studies more, stays up late, does without. When they put that kind of work into something, it's not good enough to just give them a name on a list for other guys that showed up that didn't put that much effort into it. You know, they deserve some kind of award for excelling, for pushing the envelope. That's not what I'm saying at all. You know, I'm totally against this generation of trophies for participation that we've ended up with, because there are people who just inherently will work harder. They will work harder than other people. They deserve credit for that.
Sure.
Right.
Well, yeah, but you're not talking about, I mean, obviously some of the bikes that won, those bikes they put a lot of time into.
They did.
That's not what you're talking about, though, right?
No, I guess what we're talking about tonight is where's the line in the middle of that? You know, the line in the middle is, you know, maybe in some shows in the United States where we've, you know, taken away the award system altogether, versus what they've done with shows like the AMD World Show, where to get an award you have to build to such a incredible level of engineering that, you know, it may or may not violate the principles of why you started doing custom bikes to begin with.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's tough. The thing I will say is that all of the bikes that were in that top 10, well, a lot of the bikes that were there in general, the craftsmanship wasn't insane. I mean, they were really, really well done. You know, that one dude, that crazy ass looking bike with the white and gold bike, that guy made that engine.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not my particular taste as far as like the design and shape of the bike, but that part of it's pretty rad, you know. And how do you, I don't know, how do you
take away from that?
Yeah,
because
and you can't. And how do you try and position those two? I mean, put that bike next to my bike, and how do you try and position those two when you have you know, an equal amount of crazy fab work that's been done, right? I mean, he made everything there from scratch as well. And how do you find a way to try and position that so that you can say, all right, we're going to vote on this scale of engineering gets 10 points, you know, paint and body gets 10 points, fabrication 10 points, whatever. And then where do you have the, like, never on any of those sheets have I ever seen the, like, rideability motorcycle, like, does this still have the essence of the motorcycle, 1 or 10?
That's
like
what I was going to say. Is
Well,
I think that needs to be one of the primary factors is the rideability.
You know what though? Listen, I just honestly talking through this just made me realize that would be unfair too, because like he said, this cat built this. He built this motor. He engineered this motor. He deserves credit for the work that went into that. So maybe it's our responsibility as promoters when we look at things like this. This motorcycle should never end up with the ability to take the title championship over motorcycles that aren't built to this level of engineering. You know what I mean? Like, it should be a completely separate class. Like, maybe there should be 3 or 4 different classes of the championship motorcycles, so that people, like this bike, if this was just, a Cycle Source show and this bike rolled in and Jordan's bike rolled in, they would never be in the same classes.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So maybe it's our responsibility to do a better job as show promoters. I don't know.
I think it's I don't know how they do it, man. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how they try and balance all of that. I mean, they do a really great job with the show. All the promoters and everybody that were working on it did a great job. I just don't know how you the peer-to-peer judging is always a tough thing as a as a builder being in there, because you don't know. There could be a handful of guys that are trying to sandbag somebody that they're like, well, I feel like that guy's going to win, so I'm going to vote on this bike over here that I think's an absolute pile of shit. But it'll take votes away from this other thing. So now I get higher up in the list because I took votes away from this guy. Like, I don't.
And that's one thing
I don't
I'll
understand
say, dude.
that.
I'm sorry to be the guy that always does this shit, but that's just a horseshit way to not take personal responsibility. Like, I don't believe peer-based judging was ever good. To have a small portion of it, that's one thing, but like you if you're going to throw a show, especially with the kind of promotional value and everything that's on the line for guys coming from all over the world, you have to have a group of people take responsibility for sifting through the results of this. You can't let stuff like that go up to peer-based judging, because it does happen. The politics of the human soul happen, and that's it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it happens with
it's
judges
inevitable.
too. Yeah, it happens with judges too. You got judges in there, and judges go, "Oh, that guy's an asshole," or whatever, whatever their thing is that day, and they. So it's hard when you got the human factor. There's always a big question mark.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, and I think on the flip side of that, of all of this too, is that it really depends on how much weight you put into winning any of that stuff or just participating in it either. You know what I mean? Because the thing of it is, for me, there's a few different types of people that are different types of motorcyclists, right? You're either the type of person that's into riding, and that's all you really care about. You may like custom bikes and everything else, but your primary prerogative is to go out and ride. Okay, well then you have the guys that are their primary objective is to go and build something. They like motorcycles, they like riding, but maybe they like building stuff more than they really care about riding, right? So you have those different types of people, and then you're trying to mix all of those together with these shows. That's when it becomes difficult, because I go to that show and like some of those bikes really aren't my style, but I still really enjoy looking at them from a fabrication standpoint and engineering standpoint. Some of that stuff is just it's amazing to look at, and I don't know, it's different.
Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate it all too. I really do. I think I would just like to see, and maybe it's the patriotism inside of me, be it misguided or whatever. I would like to see, the Americans get more recognition for the kind of work that we're doing in some of these world arenas. But for what it's worth, the stuff that you took over there, dude, was awesome, and that's a perfect look at like the height of where things can go to in this country with the kind of craftsmanship and the stuff that we're doing. That was a fantastic representation. So, congratulations to you for getting picked and going over there and taking it to them.
Hey, thanks, man. For sure. I appreciate it. And we had a really good time. I took a lot away from the experience. We were just happy to go over and be a part of it, and we met a ton of new people and made a lot of new friends, and it was a great time. I honestly don't, it doesn't bother me that we didn't place any higher than we did. It's, you never know where things are going to happen with these shows. Sometimes it's a bikini bike, sometimes it's a rider, but it was a great time. Happy that we were able to represent America and bring over what our, heart of hearts felt like is our best foot forward, and what we felt, should be displayed at the World Arena. So.
Oh, you should definitely be proud of that, buddy. It's a beautiful, beautiful motorcycle you took. But let's get on to the important question. What are you going to do if you wake up tomorrow morning and it's your numbers that are pulled for the $1 billion? How are you going to spend your $1 billion?
You know what, dude? I very rarely ever buy lotto tickets because my dad was a financial advisor, so he was always investing your money and rather than shooting it in the wrong spots. But I tell you what, we have this conversation at the shop. Anytime that the Powerball or the Mega Millions gets up at that high, everybody always, we start talking about, what would you do? What would, it always ends up being the same shit. It's like, well, I would just have a bigger shop. I would have more tools, and I would just be building more stuff. So,
and this is why I love motorcycle people.
We've talked about it in length too, as like, okay, you win that money, and like if you invested it properly, you would have enough sitting there on the day to day that you'd have to burn like $35,000 a day in interest.
Oh yeah.
Just fuck. How the hell do you do that? I could think of a few ways, but I would have a very extensive World War II plane like collection and problem. That would be my vice. Like yeah. I would have to buy acres and acres of land and I'd be into warplanes. And the only reason I'm not doing that is because I couldn't afford that shit right now. So, but.
Well, listen. What's up next for you? What can we promote for you? I mean, obviously, go to the website, check out this cat's work. You'll not be disappointed in anything that he brings to the table. UnionSpeedandStyle.com. Full complement of social media. You can catch all of his links on the website. But where and what do you have coming up next that we can tell people about?
Right now, our big thing, what I'm trying to focus on right now is we bought a new building and we've been refurbishing it since the first of the year. It's an old Ford dealership from the early 1900s, and that's pretty much what I've been focusing on. So until that's done, I'm kind of holding off doing any kind of personal build stuff anyway. We've just got a lot of customer builds that we're getting through, and once the shop's done, I've got a couple of builds coming up for myself that I'm pretty excited about. Try and get out some of these other local U.S. shows, and hit. So really, that's about it. It's going to be a pretty slim show circuit for us next year, just because of trying to get the building done. So
yeah, that's a worthy cause though. And you got, sure. You're part of the country. You're getting ready to brace for the big old winter right now too.
Yeah. It's we got concrete going in next Saturday, and we're trying to beat the snow, man. So I shouldn't have even the trouble like the AMD thing on top of all of this. Like I shouldn't have even had any time to do that because we have all this other stuff going on. But it's just been chaotic since the beginning of the year. So I'm just looking forward to some of these things get knocked off the list to kind of even out.
Yeah, right on.
and kind of settle down a bit. So,
Right on.
Well, we're super proud of you, dude. Super proud for what you took over there, and congratulations again. We're always watching for more stuff coming out from you, so we'll bring that stuff here all the time, and bring you back on the air. Here maybe in the spring, and see what you're up to next.
right on, man. I appreciate it. Definitely, like I said, if anybody wants to check out our stuff, follow along on our Instagram. It's probably the thing I update the most. So, yeah.
Right on.
Appreciate you guys having us on, and hope to do it again soon.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks,
get
Jordan.
on that shop.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
All right, later on.
Bye.
So yeah, I'll probably get a lot of international fan mail after that one.
Well, you know that Goldhamer's from Canada, and he won the AMD 3 times.
Yeah, but he's also from
He's Canadian.
He's also from Planet
Canadian.
Goldhammer. You know what I mean? Like he's his whole own country. That cat was building on another level before people even knew shit could go there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, remember some of those bikes that he built?
My God.
If he hadn't won the AMD, everybody would have been so mad. Like all the other builders would have been so mad, because he's the guy who like really cranked it up.
Yeah.
And was like doing those cutting cylinders off and making single cylinder bikes from anyway.
Yes, sir.
Anyway.
What do we got on social media, Blondie?
When Barclay Smashy wins the $1 billion, he's going to buy Dusty Pine a beard trimmer and a case of PBR. Right?
Dream bigger.
And Dusty's already planning his editorial contribution.
There you go.
Yeah, he is.
Yep. So it's going to be about the level of rideability.
There you go.
Bring it on, Dusty. You have my email.
That's what we're talking about. One man's opinion.
Yep.
I'm
kind of excited to see what people have to say about some things.
No. All right, back over to
I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. I can't wait for the last issue of Cycle Source so I can see all the editorials that you wrote and that never made it in the magazine.
Now, I got to explain to you guys, if you've never heard us talk about this. So, as you can imagine, when you're running a national motorcycle magazine, there are just things that you cannot print. There's stories that I can't print for legal reasons, for personal safety reasons, for just good common sense reasons. And all of those stories, instead of just throwing them away, I put them in a desk or in a drawer in my filing cabinet, and it's labeled the last magazine ever. And it's a running joke, and I think this is how you keep your sanity for 22 years of publishing a national publication. The last issue ever is just going to be editorial from front to back, and I'm going to print all those stories, change my name, move to another country, and disappear.
And I think we've added like 3 or 4 of them this year alone, because he'll write stuff and I'll be like, no.
Yeah, no.
Nope. Sorry, not happening.
Oh, so with that, let's get back over to the news desk.
Yeah.
Couple more items to click through. Roger Hayden's racing career celebrated on Suzuki Sunday at AIM Expo. For me, probably one of the only things that, I think was great that came out of AIM Expo this year. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it.
And you say that not having been there.
No,
I'm going to say that from a totally biased perspective, that they screwed my brother Bob Kay, and I don't go to that show anymore. But if I had gone, I would have been excited that they celebrated Roger Hayden's 2 decades of racing. The Hayden family, obviously Roger, Tommy, Nicky Hayden, it's a staple in the American family of motorcycle racing. And for his illustrious career, they gave him a brand new 2019 RMX 450Z, decked out with a graphics package that pays homage to his Yoshimura Suzuki Superbike. Personally, some of my best memories ever of Superbike racing is being trackside, taking pictures of this cat right here, hauling ass around some of the great tracks of the United States. So congratulations to him.
Yeah. That's really cool.
It is.
That would have been cool to be at.
Sad to hear that, he's retiring, because it makes me feel even older
Well,
You are old. He's been
I
racing for
know.
2 decades.
Also in the news of motorcycle racing, the Strider Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Strider Cup race announces cities for young two-wheeled phenoms.
Mm-hmm.
As the dust
Or
settles-
just kids that can walk.
we have to get the grandkids.
They might
shoes.
not be phenoms. They
We
might
have
just
to.
be able to walk.
I definitely want to get this for our grandkids.
Oh, without
I
a doubt.
definitely
Christmas.
do.
You don't have one.
What's that?
You don't have a Strider for him?
I
No.
don't, not yet. We talked about.
Grandparents?
We were just at one of the last shows and we were talking about getting one, but
Yeah.
Christmas.
yeah.
Christmas.
As the dust settles from the past Strider Cup race season, Strider Bikes have announced the U.S. cities hosting the 2019 Strider Cup races for children 6 years old and younger on Strider balance bikes. And races held.
Why is this important, Chris?
This is important
I mean,
because
those are bicycles. It doesn't matter.
it does matter. The
Why?
entire fate of the motorcycle industry apparently sits on the shoulders of these young people on their balance bicycles.
Well, it is the thing that is important is that you have to be able to ride a bicycle before you ride a motorcycle. I mean, that is
That's right. And obviously, again, I'm being a smartass, but the truth is,
I know. I was trying to lead you into a, less of a smartass comment and more of a conversation, but whatever.
the truth is, there's been great strides made
Yeah.
in the entry point of motorcycle participation, motorcycle enthusiasm, and a lot of it has come from the good people behind the Strider program, because behind all of that, there's really some people that are full of passion. They're doing great things. They're offering programs now where for, I believe, Maryland Stemp told us $2,800, you can pay for all the bikes, a teacher, and the curriculum and everything to be taken to a school and give young people an opportunity who don't already know how to ride a bicycle to get on these things and start to learn. So Strider is doing incredible work. I don't want to take anything away from them. It just, like our industry does, we see something, happening like that, and everybody goes, oh my God, that's the key to everything.
No, it's just a piece. It's a piece of it,
It is. It's important.
And they're engaging. They're being involved in the industry. They're at the Buffalo Chip. They've been at the Buffalo Chip for a decade, I think.
Yeah.
They've been there forever.
Well, and that was one of the coolest things, like going back to Marilyn Stump. The reason why this came up in conversation with her was, she reached out to builder friends of hers this year in combination with the people from Strider. They put together, a whole collection of customized Strider mics. And this was people
Super original idea.
Yeah, some of them
Was.
were awesome.
and, taking it the whole next step now, they're actually going to be auctioned off at the Meekum auction. I just
Oh,
found
cool.
this out. So
And the money raised from them will go to sponsor some schools
Yeah.
to get these bikes. So I think it's outstanding.
Nice.
And she said, I think she has builders lined up for the next 3 years for
Yeah.
Strider, for
Wow,
new
that's
Striders
great.
every year. So I think that's
Which one did you like the most?
Motorcycle Missions.
yeah.
I loved
did.
theirs.
Let me see if while we're talking, if I can bring that up. But what did you like, Ken? Which one was yours?
I like Yaffe's because it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's totally unrideable. And just
Totally
like,
unrideable. That's great.
yeah. Like,
I listen.
completely-
I
just
like.
like a piece of, like something you would put, in your, on your mantle, like in a corner
But
somewhere.
then it's art.
Yeah.
What's the
They're not-
point?
I like. I gotta say this. I liked Rick Fearless's. Because
It was Rick Fearless. I mean,
back to what we were just talking about with Jordan. Rick will not give up his personality in
No.
something. It doesn't matter if he's building a bagger, a chopper, a Strider. It says Fearless from 100 feet away.
Miss Judy, you are right. She says most kids can't even walk anymore because their parents drive their lazy asses.
See, and you think I'm a smart ass.
You're right.
The Flying Pistons.
Neither
there
of
we
my
go.
kids can walk, actually. I just cart them around everywhere.
I don't know.
Let me see. Okay, so I'm trying to get
Okay,
the
moving
pictures
on.
up. I'm trying to get the pictures up real quick for you guys to see the 2018 bikes.
So while you do that, can we talk about some things that happened today?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about Willie's or something.
Yeah, well,
Or
actually, that
some
was
speed.
yesterday, so that's great.
Yeah.
Chris and I drove down to Daytona on Wednesday, and we had our seafood lunch, and then we did Willie's Tropical Tattoo yesterday, which was outstanding. Registration was up. I think they had, for fall rally, they had 92 bikes register. And all of them were killer, as always. And attendance seemed a little light, but I think yesterday it was so blasted hot down there. Everybody took advantage of, air conditioning and waited till the evening to go out. But it was a great day. I mean, killer music. Willie and his staff always do a phenomenal job organizing that, and they raised a good bit of money for the Veteran Support Fund, so that was always great. We're going to have, I'm not sure which issue right now, but we'll have pictures of all the winners with their motorcycles in an upcoming issue. And our winner was a
bitch and build.
Yeah, and that got shot, and that'll be in an upcoming feature too.
A bitch and build from a young dude, and he was one of the coolest people to talk to, that is not always the case. You know what I mean? Like, see a bike that's really cool, talk to the guy. He's a young builder, and he was just like so appreciative that somebody was paying attention to this incredible bike.
He was very humble. Nice kid.
That's cool.
And today were the Sons of Speed races, put on by Billy Lane Choppers Inc. at the New Smyrna Speedway, and Jody Perowitz won.
There she is.
She won one class.
She won one class, and then Todd Cochran. Let me double check that name. Sorry, folks.
And there he is with his checkered flag. And
Todd Cochran won the 61 hot class.
There you go.
Cool.
So, what did we get any reports in about what the actual attendance and field of racers from Sons of Speed?
Negative.
No.
Wait a
no,
minute. Ken might.
No, yeah, I just heard that it was a good crowd, but I don't know what that means.
Okay. Well, in our Daytona issue that'll be coming up, I'm sure we'll have a full report from Missy and everybody that were still down there after we had to split.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I think. Do we have any?
Look what I got in the mail. Wait a minute. Which way?
That. What is the motorcycle on the front of it?
Issue 261 of Cycle Source magazine just showed up on our doorstep. So I think it's been 5 or 6 years since you've been able to do an issue like this.
Yeah. This is an actual full Bonneville edition, and for anybody that's been a long-time subscriber of the magazine knows that for like 7 years in a row, we did a yearly annual issue where every motorcycle in the issue, every feature bike is a Bonneville bike. We actually have one Bonneville Tech this issue. Great stories, man. That was one of my favorite bikes right there, the French guys with their Ironhead Sportster. It was a real pleasure to get back to Bonneville, and it all started, I have to thank Mr. Grady Pfeiffer, who, through everything we did with IMS last year, gave me the reason and the ambition to build the War Pony. And the War Pony was obviously the 2003 Ultra Classic that I rode all over the place that eventually we built into this motorcycle. You have it up? There you go. And, that all ended with the fact that, about 8 years ago, 10 years ago, I took my mother's ashes to Bonneville on the back of that 2003 Ultra, and to go back there this year with that bike, and we're going through the process of doing the rookie runs and getting ready to actually make a real record attempt with it next year. So thanks for everybody that was involved in getting our asses out there.
And I have to say that other feature bike that I showed you guys, the Saltster, this one, I may be a big old softie, but the story made me cry.
Yeah.
Without a doubt,
Aww.
It made me cry. And if y'all don't cry, you're cold-hearted.
It was a great story. And I mean, that's the thing about Bonneville, man. Whether we're talking about Speed Week or for us, we go to the motorcycle speed trials. There are amazing stories there. That is, for most motorcyclists, that is like one of the highest pieces on the bucket list. And every story that goes on there is a story about overcoming obstacles and adversity and achievements, and it's a fantastic place to be.
I loved it. I can't wait to go back.
Oh, it's a blast. I love that place. I can't wait to go back there either.
I think with any luck, there's going to be a pretty good group of,
Cycle Source people next year.
excuse me, of Cycle Source people next year. Yeah. Also in that issue is imagery for our year in review selection. This way.
Look at that.
And if you were a subscriber, you'd be getting this magazine any day now.
You may already have it.
Oh, I haven't got mine yet.
All right, so enough of the self promotion.
Fine.
Last couple news pieces: 2019 Vanderhall Carmel, a three-wheeled touch of luxury. Yeah. They're expensive.
Yeah, so it just came out. I sent this in. I sent this over to you guys. I think as much as, we might not embrace the three-wheeled culture, I think it is a part of the motorcycle industry until it becomes a part of the car industry.
Well, and you know what, man? I mean, we did a lot of stuff this year with Progressive, and Progressive is a marketing partner with Vanderhall, so we got to see these things up close and in person a lot this year, and they are really, really cool. Like I would like to take one and go raise hell with it, and like I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Like I'm not.
But I just can't think about it as a motorcycle. To me, I look at it. It's a car. It's a hot rod.
But
it's got seat
retro
belts and
version
it's
of
got.
Slingshot.
They're cool.
Yeah.
They're cool as hell. They're expensive.
But yeah,
as
I'm not going
dog
to pay
shit.
$40,000 for it.
or 30.
Yeah.
But I'm old and I think things should be cheap like they were in 1982. So,
Well, I'm hoping that at some point this year I'll be able to do a test ride on one because I've done, I did the Slingshot. So I'm hoping at some point I'll get to Utah, which I think is where they're from, and get out on one
yeah,
for a few days. See what I think.
right on.
Well, maybe there's a dealer near you, Ken.
I think there is actually. I think there's one. I think Thunder Mountain's actually a dealer.
There you go.
So one of our
as well as that Riker thing. Remember that?
Yeah.
That Can-Am Riker. It's
Yep.
another three-wheeler. So they're happening.
Yeah, and they look like a bunch of fun. Like I said, one of the things that I took exception with, and that's because I'm a tinkerer and I like to do stuff with my stuff. One of the problems that we noticed right away is like the shell of that thing where the engine and everything is contained. It's not like you can just flip that hood up to work on anything. You actually have to deconstruct the shell to get the shell of the vehicle off and get to the frame and the chassis and the motor and everything. So it's kind of a pain in the ass for somebody who wants to take it apart and do things, but maybe
Yeah, I
that's
have
not
no
part of
idea
that
about
culture.
like maintenance and that sort of stuff. I really have to get more informed to be able to speak to it.
Okay, so last piece of news for the night, over from MPN also. Tucker Show moves to new location for 2019. This is one of the big inter-industry shows that goes on from the people with Tucker Rocky. 2 days consist of days to interaction with Tucker brand partners, where you get to learn things about the new products coming out, network, enjoy a good time at the show, dealer appreciation party. You can hit this up at the motorcyclepowersportsnews.com to keep on top of all of this.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because that's where they're based out of, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that they would have it down there for sure.
And as long as you're going to be in Fort Worth, you can go hang out at the stockyards,
Yes.
which is awesome.
Super fun.
What's the stockyards?
What is the stockyards? Are you kidding me?
They're stockyards. They do like a cattle stampede and they do rodeo and it's all sorts of cool.
Oh yeah, okay. So it's like the Denver Stock Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Still do tons of live rodeo stuff. It's
I think every Friday and Saturday they do a big rodeo. I actually wish we were there next weekend. It's the big one that they do. What is it? The Roy Siegel
yeah.
is next weekend.
Mm.
So if you're there,
You like
somebody
that
go
rodeo
for
stuff.
me. I
You kind
do.
of live in the wrong.
I know. I
place.
totally should have been born in the West or grown up in the West anyway.
Interesting.
Here's something neat that I just learned over the weekend or over the 2 days that we were in Oktoberfest. Do you know that next year, Ken, is the 50th anniversary for Easy Riders, the movie?
That makes sense.
50th anniversary. So
Mm-hmm.
a good friend of ours, Coach East, that does a magazine out of Florida, Coach East Chops, he's actually organizing a motorcycle ride that follows the exact route that Captain America and Billy took in the movie. And they're going to start, from out in the middle of the damn desert somewhere and end up in Louisiana.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So we'll bring.
I
more
heard a
information
very
out for
interesting interview with Peter Fonda
that. Yeah.
long ago on Mark Maron podcast. It's worth listening to
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
I got to get more into this podcast thing,
pretty cool.
especially after.
Oh, you'll be brainwashed by Joe Rogan.
Oh, dude.
Next thing you know, you'll be like bow hunting for elk and taking MDMA and smoking weed all day. It'll be great.
What's MDMA?
Or DMT, excuse me. That's what this thing
No,
is.
I draw the line at DMT.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Anyway, moving on. It's 10:30.
Yeah.
We
we've
filled
done
an
it.
hour and a half pretty quick. Holy
We've
cow.
done it. We've done it again, but not
We
without
have
your
done it.
help. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. You can catch some of us in just short order here. We're going to be at the Lone Star Rally, where not only do we have the In Motion show coming up with a whole host of builders, some new for this year, some carryovers from last year. We want to thank Lucas Oil for helping us bring this out again this year. Paco came on in a big way. Obviously the people from Lone Star Rally. We're also doing our rodeo games down there and our annual bike show. It's a great time in Texas, sort of our last thing for the year. So come out and hang out with us, and that's going to be it. We're going to wrap it up, man, and go into the garage this winter. We're spending serious garage time.
There you go.
That's so
I'm so
amazing. I'm so
excited.
excited.
No trade shows for Cycle Source Magazine this winter.
That's amazing.
It's good because I'm tired.
Yes. Strictly for that. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to kill me this year, Ken.
Yeah, you guys just spent 32 hours on the road driving to Daytona and back.
Out of
You
48, right?
are animals. Animals.
It was good though.
It was good.
Yeah,
We
it
got
was-
to got to see Willie and like all our brothers down there, man. It's so worth it.
Absolutely.
So until next week, when we'll be returning to our regularly scheduled program day, which is Thursday, 9 o'clock on the East Coast, where we'll bring you 90 minutes of all the best shit we can figure out how to do. Hopefully one of you guys wins this $1 billion, and tomorrow you call me up and you say, okay, let's talk about what you need for that circus.
No, he
Yeah.
already has a circus. Let's talk about what you need
Right.
for Cycle Source magazine.
Monkeys riding tricycles. Monkeys riding tricycles.
Have you seen the people that come with us, Ken? We got that
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Were you at Gettysburg Bike Week with the mini bikes? Pretty
Oh,
much
yeah.
the same thing. Just saying.
A little bit
Well,
of a circus. I was just looking at those pictures. Those are some fun pictures.
It was fun.
until
It's gonna be a
then,
fun arc.
until next Thursday, when we can bring you some more news. Stay in touch, stay safe. If you can't be safe, be fast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we got for Shop Talk on this week. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.